Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, all sorts of good stuff. And guys, we are coming to you, for those of you watching live, we're coming to you at a special time today. We had a little thing going on earlier today for our Designing Hollywood show, and we were interviewing Academy Award winner Ruth
Carter
from won Academy Award for Black Panther. She's designing
Panther.
Black Panther 2 as well.
Wakanda Forever, yeah, and she's going to be on Blade.
And so we thought, you know what? When an Academy Award winner wants to chat with us, we'll bump the start time of our show. And Rob did that. Rob, good to have you here today.
Thank you, John. It was, it's always fun to do these interviews. I mean, we get our producers, Marilyn Vance and Martika Ibarra, get us the best people to talk to.
Oh, yeah, they do a great job getting us some amazing people.
Since you astutely brought it in-house, we're making it able to look better than it's ever looked before.
Yeah.
So watch Designing Hollywood, everyone. We put a lot of effort into it.
It's got its own playlist on the front page of the YouTube channel. Go check some of those things out. Also join us, of course, Chris Carr is here. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I had such a nice morning because of getting that little extra time. I got to have coffee with my friend Tanya. It feels like fall outside. We're experiencing seasons here. What is that?
Crazy.
There was rain.
There was rain.
Water is falling from the sky.
Brilliant.
Also joining us back there and joining you guys in the live chat is Ray Ora. Ray, how you doing?
Hi.
Ray doesn't do well when you throw his daily schedule off.
Yeah.
So he's
I'm sorry. I'm so happy about it, Ray.
And inside Ray, running the show, producer Jonathan Boyko. Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I like this time slot.
Most importantly, you guys are here. So thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. First half of the show, we're going to take some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, well, not even second half, a few minutes at the end of the show, we're going to take some live questions. We're not going to take as many as normal because we have to keep the show a little bit shorter today because, we did start so late. But we hope you guys will fire some in. We will let you know when we're opening up the super chats. All right. With that down, guys, we got a lot to get to here today, but I will let you know that, of course, last night, the Rings of Power season finale happened, and I will be doing a Rings of Power final season finale after show later today at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Los Angeles time. So I hope you guys will come and join me for that. All right. Let's get things started here with the newest segment here on the John Campea Show, our Mint Mobile hotline questions of the day. So, Jonathan, what do we got up here today?
Hey, John and crew. I was just wondering, with all the spoilers and stuff coming from the MCU, I think Marvel's big enough to just drop a movie without putting out any marketing. Maybe putting it on Disney Plus, just dropping it overnight. Pretty sure everybody will run to it once it come out. I know they probably will never do it, but I think they're big enough for everybody to just jump on once they hear about it, and they won't lose too much money. I don't know, just go full Beyonce and just drop something without even announcing that it's coming. That'd be cool. What do you guys think?
All right, thanks a lot for saying this. It's funny because this is a conversation that actually comes up every once in a while, particularly when a big MCU movie is coming along. Black Panther, we've got coming along. And I know, Rob, this is a conversation you and I have had a couple of times over the years. Basically, the premise is kind of this. Do you even need to have any kind of a marketing campaign for an MCU show or an MCU movie? Do you need to do that? Because the MCU spends a lot of money on marketing their movies. Didn't they say Endgame came in around $200 million that they just spent on the marketing? I think that's the most expensive marketing campaign ever, but it was around $200 million. Most films will, roll out. Sometimes marketing budgets are more than the production budgets of some movies, whether they'll spend somewhere in the neighborhood of, 30, 40, 50. A small one will still be in the $10 to $20 million range. So the question that comes up often is, do they even need to bother putting these things out? Especially since some people believe they just want to go in clean. They just want to go in completely clean. They don't want to see clips. They don't want to know any things that happen in the thing. They just want to go in clean. So maybe they do this. All right. So the real answer is absolutely not. No. There's this belief, and my friend, you are not the only one to believe this, but this belief that, Marvel is so big, they don't need to have a marketing campaign. Sure, if they want their movies to miss out on $300 to $400 million at the box office, you can do that. But the reality is that while Marvel doesn't need to market Black Panther to somebody like me or Rob or Chris or probably some of you guys watching, the reality is we represent 15 to 20% of the people that go to the movies. And people get made excited by the movies by the trailers and the marketing and getting that in front of people. And I understand we live in certain social circles, and well, everybody in my social circle would totally go. That means everybody would. I mean, that's the thing, right? We have these visors on we believe the world looks at things the way our immediate circles do. I mean, we're all like that about everything. We all are. But yeah, in our circles, maybe we don't need marketing. They need the marketing, because believe me, Disney would love to not spend $130 million to promote Black Panther 2 and just keep that in their coffers. But they spend it because they know that makes them a hell of a lot more money, and they do need to market. Anyway, Rob, you and I have discussed this a lot over the years, and both of us have kind of evolved our ways of thinking of it, but what do you think about what he's asking?
Well, I think you very succinctly pointed out that here's the thing. It's hard for us to imagine, John, that there aren't people as steeped in movie release dates, lore, and all that as we are. But the fact is, most people aren't. You know, movies are something they go to, they're entertained, and they leave. They don't think a lot about it. And they don't know things are coming out. That's why you have to inundate them with marketing. Now, for us, it's hard. Like, I had to learn with Endgame in particular, there was so much marketing. I thought to myself, I'm going to try and go into this movie spoiler-free. It was really hard. Like, I did watch the first trailer. I didn't watch any of the other trailers, but it was everywhere. Like, whether it was billboards, whether it was articles in magazines, you couldn't. Although I like what our viewer said, I think the sentiment about going into something and not knowing, I thought my experience with Endgame, I saw it with you on the Disney lot. I didn't know shit. I didn't know what was going on, and it was so much fun. It was so much more of a satisfying experience not knowing. I wish we lived in that world, and I wish I'm like an alcoholic when it comes to movie news or movie spoilers or whatever. Give it to me. I can't get enough. Thanks. Sober October, buddy. Sober October.
We're teetotaling.
Jokes.
Yeah.
It is. But you know what I mean?
Why we're so annoyed by everything this month.
I mean, I know, right? But you can't stay away, but I wish I could.
But you know, but you and I also talk a lot about that. You and I also are not the people that Marvel needs to talk into coming to the movie. I mean, you and I are going regardless.
We're going, but when you spend $350 million on a movie, you need to tell the entire world, come please see come pay for our product.
And by the way, it's not a coincidence that the movie with the biggest marketing spend in history is also, other than Avatar, the biggest box office movie in history. It's not coincidental. Anyway, Chris, it's a really valid point that our viewer brings up. We've heard it brought up by a lot of people. Do you think Marvel could maybe take, say, we're going to go 2 years where we're not going to market any of our projects? Is that something you think they could do or would do?
I mean, if Marvel wants to be Netflix, sure. I mean, they could totally do that. That's fine. No, I think you guys nailed it. You have to make sure that everyone is aware of a film, right? And you also, as a consumer, can make the choice to go, hey, this preview's coming on. I'm going to go refill my drink right now. You know, I've done that with certain movies when I haven't been on this show of just, hey, I'm going to like try to avoid seeing these trailers. Logan will do that with, you know, Star Wars properties a lot of times. Of, I'm going to try to go in blind. So anytime this happens, I'm going to take a lap in the living room and not watch this. Don't tell me about this show. And you can do that. I think you have to make sure that you're appealing to mass audiences, though, too, because, you know, everyone has different interests and people aren't as steeped in this. Not all comics, as much as we want to think, are part of the zeitgeist. So this is what makes them those water cooler types discussions, because you talk about the trailer, you learn about a new comic, you get interested in these things, and then you go see the movie.
You know what, John? If my mom, like 2 or 3 weeks after a movie's out, my mom's like, I hear there's a new big superhero movie in the theaters. To me, I'm like, that movie was marketed well.
Yeah, but let's see.
My mom knows about it.
Yeah, but that's my mom too, right? It's like, so there's a difference. We need to understand there's two separate topics, because there's the topic is a lot of people will confuse them. That the idea of going in clean versus a studio's need to market. It's like, that's fine that we can make individual choices. It may be great for me not to go in clean, but we also must acknowledge that the market must do it. And you know what? It can change perceptions, because while a lot of people were still looking forward to Wakanda Forever, there was a bit of a veil hanging over it prior to the first trailer, because it's doesn't have its lead star, it doesn't have its lead character. Everybody's still, this is the first Black Panther after the passing of Chadwick Boseman, blah blah blah. But when that first trailer dropped, it changed. I mean, all of a sudden now, Wakanda Forever went from, well, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with the Black Panther without Chadwick. It went from that to, we must watch Wakanda Forever. Yeah. It changed everything. It changed the outlook of it. It changed the tone of the discussions around it. It did all that, and that's what marketing does. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Probably a lot of you maybe have the same sentiment, that maybe you think Marvel could just try dropping a movie without ever spending money on marketing it. It might actually be an interesting experiment. I don't think that would work. Maybe you do. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys. With that down, let's do one more Mint Mobile hotline question today, shall we? And by the way, I forgot to call it out. If you guys would like to have a question of yours and your voice on our show, you can call into the Mint Mobile hotline question. Call it anytime, 24/7, by calling the number 951-268-4259. With that said, let's get to the second hotline question today.
Hey, John. How you doing? I got a question. With all the Deadpool stuff or Deadpool 3 coming up and whatnot, what are the chances that we can get Spider-Man in that movie? Maybe Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield, not necessarily Tom Holland. I don't know. What are the chances? Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in. All right. Let me make this clear up front. I do not believe Spider-Man is going to be in Deadpool 3. I don't think they need him to be in Deadpool 3. You make the announcement, Hugh Jack back as Wolverine with Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. You really don't need anything. You don't need to put Spider-Man in that, okay? So I do not believe Spider-Man is going to be in this.
Did you just say Hugh Jack back?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Hugh
Jack's
Jack's back. Hugh Jack's back. Hugh Jack back. Hugh Jack's back. So, but I may not believe that Spider-Man is going to be in it, and I don't. But let me tell you why you could believe it. Because there have been some rumors that maybe Spider-Man will be in Deadpool 3. Well, I'm going to give you the reasons why you could believe it. All right. Number one, my God, the money that movie would make. Because listen, I just finished saying that Deadpool 3 doesn't need to have Spider-Man there, and it doesn't. But with the untold gobs of money that Deadpool 3 is going to make with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, you suddenly throw in there a trailer, maybe say a second trailer. Nobody knew anything about it yet. And then you see Wolverine and Deadpool getting snarky with each other, and he pops the claws. Deadpool pulls the sword, and all of a sudden, whoa, whoa, whoa! And Spider-Man drops down in between them. Are you kidding me? The internet would explode. I mean, it would explode. So you don't need to have him there for this to be a massive, massive hit. But if you did, it would go to the next level too, right? So that's one reason why you could believe the idea or the thoughts that Spider-Man could be in it. Number two is this. It adds a much more interesting story dynamic. Because we've been talking in here about that. I mean, I would love to see Deadpool 3 being a road trip movie of Wolverine and Deadpool driving to the MCU. And I love that idea. They probably won't do that. But you introduce a Peter Parker, suddenly now you add a whole nother level of possibilities of storytelling in the narrative. And so because of the story possibilities, I believe that's the second reason that you could absolutely believe the idea that Spider-Man would be there. Reason number three, you could totally buy it. You have a lot more options today for Spider-Man. You have Tom Holland. You suddenly again have Tobey Maguire. You suddenly again have Andrew Garfield. I mean, hell, you could bring in a Miles Morales. Now, each one of those things have reasons why you wouldn't see Andrew Garfield, why you wouldn't see Tobey Maguire, why you won't see Miles Morales. But I mean, the reality is that there are those options there. So you wouldn't even have to necessarily have a Tom Holland. Hell, if it is a road trip to the MCU, you don't want Tom Holland in there. Maybe you do pull in an Andrew Garfield or a Tobey Maguire or something like that. It's like, hey, man, I'll come along too. I visited that MCU place once. There was some wizard guy there, but I visited it once. I'll show you the way. So, I mean, that's another possibility too. So look, again, bottom line for me is I do not believe Spider-Man is going to be in this for a plethora of reasons. But if you want to believe it, I think those are three pretty solid things that you could hang your hat on for the basis of a belief and maybe your hope to look forward to Spider-Man being in there. Anyway, Rob, let's start with the simplest question. Do you think, with all the chattering going on, that Spider-Man could be in Deadpool 3? And what would you see as maybe some of the positive reasons somebody could have in believing that it could happen?
I mean, obviously they could be in Deadpool 3. I can't say no, but they could be. I mean, I think with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman doing this, I think all bets are kind of off. I don't think anything is off limits. I think whatever they can touch, they will touch. And I do think, to a certain extent, like we've talked about, this idea of traveling through the multiverse, making your way to the MCU. And it's only Daredevil. I mean, it's only Daredevil. It's only Deadpool that's getting off. No one else is getting into the MCU. And I think that's kind of funny. I mean, obviously, the only people that are Toby and Andrew. Those are the only people that are getting, because they've been there already.
They visited once.
Yeah,
yes.
Everybody else ain't getting off. And so, in the way Deadpool is the Pied Piper of Hamelin, leading all these multiverse characters to the MCU, thinking, here's where we're all going to go. And it ends up being a dead end for Deadpool and his friends. But I think that you could bring them in. But you know what? I don't think that you should, John. Because look, we've already seen the Spider people, the Spider-Man, this Spidey.
The Spidey.
They've already done this, and I kind of like what they did with them. And you don't want to overuse that gimmick. I'd rather see like Andrew Garfield used in Venom 3,
Right.
or something like that. I don't think it would necessarily be effective unless, look, if they came up with a really good story reason, sure. I don't know what that is, though. And I think it kind of takes away, look, when you have Hope and Crosby going on a road movie, Bing Crosby and Bob Hope, you don't need to bring a third wheel in to take away from your stars. We got Wolverine and we got Deadpool. Do we need Spider-Man? It might be cool if they could use him, but do we need him?
That would be more like the Bing Crosby, David. Well, why am I freezing on? Who sang "Let's Dance"?
David Bowie.
David Bowie. The Bing Crosby, David Bowie Christmas. Do you remember
the
that?
drummer? Yeah.
Yeah,
Drummer
remember
boy?
that?
Yeah.
It's like,
Bum.
oh, David Bowie's here. It's like, well, David Bowie, Bing Crosby. And so that would kind of be like, anyway, Chris, the idea, we've all heard it, the idea of Spider-Man being thrown into this mix as well. Is this something that you could see happening? What do you see as the pros and the cons?
I mean, you could do it. You could do anything with Deadpool, couldn't you? And there's obviously a lot of comics that have a Spidey and Deadpool relationship. Isn't it bromantic would be great to pull from, right? There's so much stuff there of them having this love-hate, sometimes hate-hate relationship, especially with how often the two get confused for one another. I think what's better suited here, though, is if you do pull him in there, a cameo of sorts with a Garfield, maybe not a Holland, because that's a very young Spidey, and a lot of the very sexual and inappropriate jokes made by Deadpool to Spider-Man, I think would just feel oogie to Tom Holland. I know he's a grown man, but he's still a boy to us, He just graduated high school. He just got his first apartment. I think it'd be really, really busy, though, and take away from the dynamic that you've got between Reynolds and Jackman. And I think that needs to be the focus. If we see some other characters pop up as we have before in the Deadpool franchise, I'd love that. Otherwise, I feel like it gets a little too messy. And if I get Spider-Man and Deadpool together, I want them to be the focus. You know
what? Now that you're talking about like sensibilities, I feel like Andrew Garfield has the best matching sensibilities to that.
For sure. I mean, I feel like he was the snarkiest of the Spider-Man. I loved his quips as Parker and as Spider-Man. I really liked him as Peter Parker too. I'm a amazing Spider-Man apologist. He
I
was
love,
great.
yeah.
I love the
Garfield's
first
my
Amazing
favorite
Spider-Man.
He was so good. And I think he would fit that group dynamic really, really well. I just don't know if this is the film for it.
That second one got me.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about that? What do you see as the reasons that you could believe that Spider-Man would be in Deadpool 3? And then regardless of that, do you actually think that could happen? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Before we move into our main topics here today, we're going to take a second and thank one of the sponsors of our video today, our friends at Raycon. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Raycon. Now, you guys know I've been using Raycon as a part of my morning routine for a long time now. I love getting up, getting on my treadmill, pulling out my iPad and watching my favorite tech YouTubers like Linus Tech Tips, another good Canadian kid, by the way. And my Raycon wireless earbuds come through for me every time. Raycon's everyday earbuds look, feel, and sound better than ever. With optimized gel tips with the perfect in-ear fit, these earbuds are so comfortable and they will not budge. Trust me. My Raycons give me 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life. And one of the best things about Raycons is that they are priced just right. You get quality audio at half the price of other premium audio brands. It's no wonder Raycon's everyday earbuds have over 50,000 five-star reviews. And when I'm on my treadmill, the earbud tap functions help me stay hands-free, and the noise isolation is fantastic. So guys, go to buyraycon.com today and use the promo code Campea15 to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's code Campea15 at buyraycon.com to score 15% off. Buyraycon.com, code Campea15. And thank you to our friends at Raycon for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into our main topics here today, shall we? And our first main topic is a sad one, and it's this. Actor Robbie Coltrane, who most people will remember as playing Hagrid in the Harry Potter franchise, has passed away at the age of 72. This comes to us from the folks at Deadline. Beloved Scottish actor Robbie Coltrane died today at 72. His agent confirmed to Deadline. The Harry Potter, James Bond, and Cracker star died at hospital near his home in Lambert, Scotland. The award-winning actor had been in ill health for the last 2 years. In the UK, Coltrane memorably conquered TV screens as a forensic psychologist, Dr. Edward Fitz Coltrane, in the murder drama series Cracker, for which he won 3 consecutive BAFTA Best Actor prizes, an honor only equaled by none other than actor Michael Gambon. He also was the BAFTA nominated for Chan 4 drama National Treasure and BBC Scotland's Tutti Frutti, but of course most people remember him as Hagrid. And you know, I read this morning, and it's incredibly sad to read. Do you guys, I don't know how many of you guys saw the HBO Harry Potter, like 20-year anniversary special?
Return to Hogwarts or whatever it was called.
The saddest moment, and that special was fantastic. The saddest moment in it, though, was Robbie Coltrane being interviewed. And he said, you know, 15 years from now, I'm not going to be here, but Hagrid will be here. And everybody was like collectively, no, don't say that. And now today, I when I read this, I instantly thought about that. I mean, listen, the Harry Potter franchise is inarguably one of the biggest successes, one of the most iconic and famous and successful film franchises in history. And I would argue that I don't know if the book translation to the movie catches on quite as well if Robbie Coltrane does not come on screen in that first Harry Potter movie as Hagrid, capturing people's hearts and bringing that level of, I use the word again, that heart to that franchise. It was still going to be a big hit regardless, but what he played and how he did Hagrid in that was so iconic. And it is a character, and I remember he mentioned this in the special as well. This is a character that will live forever. And we will, whenever we think of Hagrid, we will think of Robbie Coltrane's face. And it's funny because he had so much success even before that. But yeah, and far too young at 72 as well. And you could tell in the special that he was in failing health, unfortunately. So yeah, sad day today. Robbie Coltrane passed away. Rob, you hear about this. Obviously, he's also was a presence in the Bond universe as well. What are your thoughts today?
Well, he was just a great actor. You know, and you know what I loved about him was his voice, because with when he was in Bond, he could be wry and dangerous at the same time. But with Hagrid, he was inviting, and yet could be stern, and yet he was going to offer you that helping hand. He was truly, I mean, I would call him, and I mean no disrespect from this, he was a character actor.
Oh yeah, and a great one.
And yeah, he played leading roles as well. But he was one of the great, you could use him, you could employ him in anything, whether it was a comedy, whether it was a drama, whether it was a fantasy, whether it was something.
Like a Scottish Brian Dennehy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great example. And that was that's what great classically trained actors can do. But I will miss him. He was a larger than life presence, and I always loved him as an actor. Loved him.
Chris, you heard about his passing today. What are your thoughts today?
Oh man, I'm really, really bummed out about this. My mom texted me. I was telling you right when you sent the show notes. I was like, no, this is horrible. Going off of what Rob was saying here too. I mean, he is just a dialect master.
Yes.
He was able to transform and transport so
right there.
beautifully. Exactly. In World Is Not Enough, he's so good, which honestly is not like a strong Bond movie. No. And he is a bright, shining light in it. He is so wonderful and fun and charismatic, but still dangerous, like you were talking about. And his work as Hagrid, I mean, Robin Williams famously campaigned to be Hagrid and tried desperately to go, hey, I know you want an all-English cast. Let me do this. Please let me do this. And Robbie Coltrane made it so that I was not mad about that choice.
Right.
He's wonderful as Hagrid. And I know Anne's a big Harry Potter fan.
Huge,
and most millennials do this every year. Like around Christmas, you start to watch all the Harry Potter movies because there's just that lovely like Christmas sensibility about them. And I know I'm going to go home and just binge these this weekend. I'm so excited.
Guys, for you, what are your favorite memories of Robbie Coltrane? Of course, for a lot of people, it'll be Hagrid. Maybe it'll be Bond. Maybe it'll be Cracker or several of the other projects he did. What are your thoughts on that today? Whatever your memories are, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, we're going to do something we never do around here at the John Campea Show. We've got an interview we're going to do. The other day I got contacted by one of the best action stars working in the business today. You've seen him. Maybe not everybody knows his name, but you've seen him. And a lot of you guys who are cinephiles, you know Scott Adkins. And he's got a new movie coming out, Agent Man or Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday, that's coming out. And so a little bit earlier today, me and Scott, we jumped on, he's in the UK right now, but we sat down and had a conversation online today to talk about this new movie of his that I had the opportunity to watch. And this is our conversation. Check it out. Scott, first of all, congratulations on this film. This is it's exactly what I kind of wanted it to be the moment I sat down to watch. I'm thinking, I want just a fun, grin ear to ear, kind of bonkers action film, and it delivered on so many different levels in this. I'll talk to you in a minute about the different influences I kind of felt that I recognized and I just loved about it. But for our audience who doesn't know a lot about Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday, how would you describe the film to somebody?
Well, it's a zany, very British sense of humor, Hong Kong influenced martial arts action comedy. It's kind of like John Wick meets Deadpool meets Monty Python. That's how I'll describe it. How about that?
That's good. And I had a friend of mine ask me, who I was telling about the film, and they said, this is a part of a franchise? And I'm like, yeah. They said, do I have to go back and watch the first one to watch this? And I said, I don't think so. The way it feels like you guys set this movie up, it feels like this could be a perfect entry point into the franchise for anybody to just step in and watch it, because you set up the characters in such a way that it never felt like you had to know what happened previously in order to watch this. And was that a deliberate decision that you guys made?
Yeah, absolutely deliberate, because we're not sure, if everyone's seen the first one, to be honest. So we didn't want that to be a stumbling block. You get enough information about the first film that you need, but you don't need all that information because he's on to a new chapter. Right. All you need to know is that the Accident Man kills people and he makes it look like an accident, and that this is a new adventure for him. And yeah, you don't need to see the first film, but I absolutely recommend that you do.
You and I were talking off camera before we started here that one of the things I loved watching this film, and when I'm watching a new film, I love this when it happens. I felt so many influences of different films and styles and genres that I love. Everything from I felt like the homage to the great martial arts epics like Shokasagi films. I felt like the Seven Deadly X's from Scott Pilgrim. I felt the Peter Sellers Pink Panther Kato stuff in there. I felt like the bonkersness and the franticness of a Crank franchise. Like when you were sitting down and coming up with this story, because you also kind of came up with the story for this whole thing. Were those? What was it you were kind of trying to target in your head when you were putting this all down and knowing what kind of movie you wanted to make here?
What it was, John, is when I was 14 years old, I stumbled across the comic book in England, and I got this comic book, and I thought it was a great comic book, and I kept it for all these years, expecting somebody to make it into a movie, but nobody ever did. So when I started getting into the film business, I thought, right, I'm going to see if I can option that property. Luckily for me, it was available at the time, but I've since found out that a big-time producer optioned it for a while, and he just couldn't get it made for whatever reason. Lucky for me, I got that done. We shot the first film. I wrote it myself with a friend from school. We got Sony to make it. And here we are. I'm 46 now, knowing that I got that comic book when I was 14. And we're talking about the sequel. So, that is great. The fact that I'm Mike Fallon now, this is like my dream project. And I've forgotten your question now. I've just gone off on a rant. But, it's a very personal project for me, of course, because it's something that I dreamt about from when I was a teenager.
We got to talk about one of the things that I recognized instantly and that I loved about this. This is an action film. And what I loved about this was that, Accident Man is coming across and has to face a lot of different types of assassins that he fights. And each one of them are like these their own vivid, larger than life characters in and of themselves. And what I started to realize as I was watching the different fights is that not only is this incredible fight choreography and the action is top notch, but it felt like the style of fight varied from assassin to assassin that you fought in the film. And that gave each one of the fights their own very unique flavor and style. What was like the fight choreography and putting the action together? Because it's exhausting. It's so much action in this. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was exhausting. Absolutely. Making this film on a 22-day shoot. I mean, I was constantly fighting somebody or other. But yeah, every fight does have a different style because we've got very different characters, and we, would stick to the brief of who that character was and how they should fight and what sort of martial art they should use. But also we had a lot of different fight coordinators on this, and that probably helped. It was just a bit of a mixed bag of people that we were getting in, yeah. And then Andy Long, the guy that I fight at the end, he actually choreographed that fight and the fight with Suling and Silas. And then we had Tim Mann, who did the first movie, and he did a little bit of previs. And then when I did another film, so, it was a bit of a mixed bag with the choreographers. And I did more choreography on this film than I've done on any other movie that I've ever done. And the directors, they understand, because George Kirby is a stuntman. And I actually met him on Doctor Strange because he was doubling Benedict Cumberbatch. Oh, wow. That's how we got to know each other. And him and his brother, they understand the action from a very deep level, and the camera work is great and it's fun. And that last fight is very Hong Kong inspired. And I think as far as martial arts films go, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better one in 2022.
I completely agree. And here's the funny thing too, is that in the midst of all this incredible, and I think this is going to be the best fight choreography people see in 2022. But on top, with all that going on, and as much as I was soaking all that in, I think my favorite scenes in the movie were quieter conversation, particularly that first one between you and Ray. When you walk into the pub there and that exchange that the two of you guys have, I was like riveted to that. It got me invested in the characters more and what was moving on with that. You've worked with Ray before, but what was that like for you working with him on this again?
Well, exactly. When we wrote the first film, we said, right, we're going to write this big Ray character as well as we can, give him some real good meaty dialogue, because we wanted to attract an actor with the sort of gravitas that Ray Stevenson has got. And so we were so happy when we got him for the first one. So when he comes back into this movie, first of all, if you've got any exposition, you better get Ray Stevenson to deliver it, because he's going to do it like a pro. But also, he's just such an amazing actor. And that scene, it's quite tense and it takes different shape, and there's lots of history with the characters. And, it's Ray Stevenson, so it's going to be good.
I got one more question for you, because, there is so much action in this movie, and it all centers around you. And I've talked to performers before who've had like action set pieces in a movie that had like one or two, maybe three action set pieces in a movie. And they've often talked about legitimately how exhausting of a process that is. And that's for movies that are like shot, over like a 4-month period or something like that. There is so much action in this. You have this kinetic movement always going on. Physically, for you, what was it like making this film with so much action and the shooting schedule that you had?
It's exhausting. Yeah. It seemed like a good idea when I was 10. Turns out it's really difficult work. No, and I keep, all I ever do is action movies, but I love the genre. You know, I know I'm good at it. I know I've got a big fan base that expect that from me, and I don't want to let them down. You know, sometimes it's, you know, I want to give a great acting performance as well, and I want the story to be great. And we're trying to get everything to be great and, you know, have your cake and eat it. But sometimes I'm there as an actor and I've got to do a dramatic scene and I want more takes because I really want to crack it from a dramatic level. But then there's the other side of me that's like, no, we've got to stop the acting now because we've only got half the day to do this fight scene, and I want that to kick ass as well. So it's this constant struggle that I've got, and I just do my best to, you know, give us enough time to make the action great, but also to concentrate on the drama and make sure you deliver as an actor, and with the story, of course, that's very important. But it's not easy, especially on a low budget and not enough shooting days, but somehow we managed to do it most of the time.
Well, Scott, when it comes to those combinations, I don't know that anybody in the business does it better than you right now. Congratulations on the film. I had a lot of fun watching this. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this thing. So let me just ask you to put on your salesman hat for just 1 second and tell our audience why they need to take some time here and watch Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday.
Well, all I've got to say, John, is I've been watching you for many years. I really appreciate what you do, and I take your advice on all the movies that I go to watch. So if you're giving it the thumbs up, I think that's all we need from John Campea. But no, it's an action martial arts comedy with a very British sensibility, and I think it's good. People need to check it out.
All right, Scott, thanks so much for everything. Congratulations on the film. We can't wait for people to watch it.
Thanks, John.
All right, simply probably the best action guy you can have in a movie these days, and this is a fun movie. I mentioned it in the interview, but it's like it's got that frantic pace of Crank. It's got like the Seven Evil X's feel of Scott Pilgrim. It's definitely got some Peter Sellers Pink Panther Kato stuff in it. It's a fun little movie. Him and Ray Stevens are great, and you know, when Scott wrote to me this week, hey, can we talk about this new movie? I'm like, absolutely, yes. I've been wanting to talk to him for a long time. So that was great. Guys, check it out. Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday. Go and check it out. It becomes available today, as a matter of fact.
All right.
All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3 here. And this is our third main topic today. You know, a lot of people got excited that Disney Plus was going to be redoing the Percy Jackson stuff as a series. Now, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I like the Percy Jackson movies, particularly the first one. The second one was okay, but I really did like the first one. And I know a lot of Percy Jackson fans were like, yes, they need to correct those awful movies. But I actually, I don't care. I don't apologize for it either. I like those movies, but they're getting going on that. They got the kid from the Adam Project, Scoble? Walker Scoble, who was incredible in that movie. Didn't do a bad job either in Secret Headquarters, even though the movie itself wasn't very good.
He did a lot with a little in that movie.
He did a lot with a little. So he's our new Percy Jackson. Well, if you're a fan of the WWE Attitude Era, we got some good news for you today, because the Percy Jackson series on Disney Plus just cast Ares. And that is good Canadian kid, Edge.
Hell yeah.
Edge, also his real name is Adam Copeland.
Adam Copeland.
Again, good Canadian kid. He's been cast as Ares. This comes to us from the folks at CBR that says 3 new stars have joined the cast of Disney Plus's Percy Jackson, the Olympian series, including WWE's Edge as Ares. Edge, whose real name is Adam Copeland, has been announced alongside Suzanne Cryer and Jessica Parker Kennedy, as reported by Variety. Copeland will appear in a recurring role as the series version of the Greek god Ares, a devilish charmer who tends to sow chaos around him. So, listen, I don't watch a lot of wrestling anymore, other than the big pay-per-views, WrestleMania. We're going to WrestleMania this year. WrestleMania, maybe SummerSlam, 1 or 2 of the other ones. But Edge is a dude that I've watched for a long, long time. The rated X superstar.
The rated R superstar.
The rated R superstar. Sorry, I keep saying rated X. The rated R superstar.
Filthy.
I mean, him and Christian, like one of the greatest tag teams of all, maybe the most popular tag team of all time in the WWE. They were terrific. I still remember I watched the pay-per-view what was it, like a year ago or a year and a half ago, where Christian came back and then Christian and Edge were in the ring together.
Yeah.
And I remember I saw this meme where you just see this little girl walking and says, "Daddy, why are you crying?" It's like that was men everywhere. When Edge and Christian were in the ring together again, there were tears, man tears all across the world. Anyway, he's been dipping his foot in acting for actually a lot of years now. And he's been actually doing a lot of like classwork in acting as well too. So what can I say? I'm happy for the guy. It's not a big lead role in it. It's going to be a recurring character in it. So I'm happy to hear this. Chris, I knew the person probably most happy in this office today about this news was going to be you. What do you think about this?
I'm so hyped. I love this. Friggin' love Edge. Oh, coming off of Raw last week, too, when he was not going to tap out dealing with the Judgment, but then they threatened his wife, Beth Phoenix. And that was not okay, the Judgment. It was not okay. I think he's great. He was on seasons 5 and 6 of Vikings, and he did phenomenal work as Flatnose. He was so good. His dialect work was on point. Obviously, physicality was on point as well. He's so talented. And, you know, he's been talking about leaving wrestling. He's 48 years old. He literally broke
he was
his
gone
neck.
for a decade or something like
I mean,
that.
he
Yeah.
had a horrific injury that he came back from. And I'm so excited to see him do this new chapter in his career because, you know, that transition from wrestling to acting works out great for some folks, not so much for others. And I'm so glad that he's on this trajectory to be a really, really great, hopefully household name as an actor and not just as a phenomenal wrestler.
You know, I said for a while, he's the Ryan Reynolds of the world of wrestling. Because I've watched some like behind, like some YouTube videos behind things where him and some other wrestlers are not in character. And they're like, he did this one series where he like would bring other wrestlers out to his cabin up in Canada for like a week. And like his natural way of talking and communicating, he is the Ryan Reynolds of the WWE. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. What do you think?
First of all, who are you?
What?
How do you know these things?
She's a big
I'm a little
wrestling fan.
confused too.
I mean, you know,
I
I
didn't like
contain
sports.
multitude.
it's a blind
I'm
spot
a
for
Disney
me.
princess who watches wrestling, baby.
Well, that's why
I was
like you.
built in a
That's why I
lab.
like you. That's why you're on this show. I'm constantly impressed by the things I don't know that you know.
Aw, thanks,
So
friend.
that's fantastic.
Samesies.
I think, look, you know, like His Dark Materials series was better than the Golden Compass movie that they made. So I am actually excited for this series. I think it will exceed what they gave us with the films. I don't know much about this gentleman. But he certainly looks the part. And
right.
judging by the enthusiasm of my two esteemed colleagues here, I can honestly say I'm that much more excited for a show that I was actually looking forward to already.
Okay, I think Ray is literally shaking.
I'm just saying, you guys don't remember the first thing he was in? Because I know we went to the theaters to actually watch it, and he was only in it for like a minute. It was Highlander Endgame. He was one of the two.
Nobody remembers watching Highlander
But
Endgame.
Especially in a
we
theater.
had no idea what Highlander was.
Mario Van Peebles in that one?
No,
I'm
that was the third one.
Okay.
But it was the opening scene, and then I think we just all said, "Hey, should we leave?" We just went.
Sounds about right for Highlander.
Yeah.
But he was also he was a villain of the week in Flash.
Yep.
He appeared in Flash as well, and of course his turn on Vikings is probably the best thing that he had done.
I mean, that's when he just showed that he had solid chops.
Yeah, or at
Because
least he had gotten better.
Yeah.
I like that. So, hey, I'm super happy for this news. I really like this guy, and I hope it works out well. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Edge has joined the world of demigods in Percy Jackson on Disney+. How do you feel about that? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to take a second and thank another sponsor of today's episode, our friends at HelloFresh. We want to take a moment and thank a sponsor of today's video, HelloFresh. Guys, my wife Ann and I love using HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. When you subscribe to HelloFresh, you can check Save Money off of your fall to-do list. HelloFresh is 25% cheaper than takeout and even less expensive than grocery shopping too. And HelloFresh works with your ever-changing schedule. Plans are flexible and you can choose your meals for the week, update your preferences, or change your delivery day all in the HelloFresh app. Now, you know Ann and I are both working professionals, so when it comes
comes to dinner time, it can be a bit of a challenge. We don't really have time to cook and we don't want to eat out all the time. And that's why HelloFresh comes through so clutch for us. Not only do we get to eat delicious, nutritious food, but Ann and I both have a lot of fun getting to cook together, following the easy to follow steps in getting the meals made. So go to HelloFresh.com/Campea65 and use the code Campea65 for 65% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/Campea65 using the code Campea65 for 65% off plus free shipping.
And thank you to our friends at HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting our show. So go on down to the description of this video. Right near the top, you'll see links to all of our sponsors and their promo codes. And again, thank you to HelloFresh. Okay, guys, with that down, let's get into our next main topic here today. And this one's pretty interesting. You know, growing up, the Naked Gun films were like pretty much the kings of the borderline spoof comedy films, of course, starring a good Canadian kid in it and all that kind of stuff. Of course, I always got to go back to that. But there has been some whispers and some talk for at least a couple of years about the studio wanting to revisit and maybe reboot the Naked Gun franchise. Now, that style of comedy has not worked in a while. Like, gone are the days of Hot Shots Part 2 and Spaceballs and, you know, things like that, because they got overrun with movies like Meet the Spartans and superhero movies.
Let's just make a spoof of every movie that came out this year with terrible jokes.
And they were all shit. They were all garbage. And it ran the subgenre completely into the ground. So it's taken a while for this, but apparently now there is movement on a new Naked Gun. And I love a couple of the names attached to it, because according to the Hollywood Reporter, we're talking about the Liam Neesons taking over as the lead of it, and Lonely Island's Akiva Schaffer taking over like the directing thing of it. I'm a huge Lonely Island fan. Anyway, the Hollywood Reporter says this: Naked Gun is getting a reboot. Lonely Island member Akiva Schaffer is set to direct the reboot of the classic slapstick movie for Paramount, with Liam Neeson in early talks to stars. That means it's a 95% certainty he's going to be in it. The famed Zucker Abrams and Zucker franchises follows the happenings and mishaps of Officer Frank Drebin, made famous by Leslie Nielsen, of course, good Canadian kid. A trio of movies became known for their slight gags, celebrity cameos, and Neeson's masterful physical comedy. And you know what's funny? I talked to a couple of people when they heard Liam Neeson's name, and they went, "Really? Liam Neeson in something like Naked Gun?" I'm like, if you've not seen the stuff Liam Neeson did with Ricky Gervais, especially the "Hello, I have cancer." Did you ever see that sketch?
It's brilliant.
Yep.
Oh my God. It's like one of the funniest things you will ever see. But also he's done some comedy stuff like Once Upon a Time in, or not Once Upon a Time in the West, A Million Ways to Die in the West, with Seth MacFarlane as well. Him being straight edge comedy, deadpan man, he can be, oh, that's a shot from the sketch. If you guys have not seen this sketch, you 100%, once this show is over, you got to go and look it up, because in a very Office kind of way, you are going to die from being uncomfortable, and you're going to be laughing your guts out at the same time. This sketch is so funny. Anyway, that said, so when you really think about it, I thought about it more. I thought, you know what? I don't know that there would be anybody better. Like, I'm sure there would be many that could be just as good. I don't do the X actor and X role thing, but when I heard that name, I'm like, you know what? Damn, yes. And then again, getting Schaffer from Lonely Island, pop star, never stop, never stopping, I think is a highly underrated comedy. I mean, the first half is better than the second half, but that movie has ass loads of laughs.
It's worth it for the song Mona Lisa alone.
Oh, and Humble. Humble is so good, but the Mona Lisa, but God, I mean, I could just sit here and just start quoting that movie all day. Anyway, so to have him directing this, I got to tell you, I'm not going to say it's like a top 5 most anticipated movie now for me. I'm not, but I am very excited for this. Anyway, Chris, you hear this story. What do you think about it?
Oh, I'm hyped for this. And people who think that Liam Neeson isn't a right fit, you have to look back at like Leslie Nielsen here, right? Of doing really deadpan moments, right? If you go back to things like Airplane, all of those lines of "I am serious and don't call me Shirley," they don't work if you're like mugging the camera.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to be really, really committed. And comedy and drama walk a fine, fine line. And if you are experiencing everything in a truthful way, it's going to land even funnier, you know? And I think Liam Neeson has proven time and time again that he's got comedy chops. Not only that wonderful sketch with Ricky Gervais, but I know it's not a great movie, but 1,000 Ways to Die.
Yeah.
He's so funny in it. He's
Yeah.
so funny. He does really, really great work. And I think in a role like this, that'll also kind of lampoon what he's done in a lot of his action films, it's going to shine.
I can just picture Liam Neeson saying, "Nice beaver." I mean, that line. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. What do you think?
Well, you know, the difference in the Naked Gun films and the Police Squad TV series, from what you were talking about, like the Spartans movie, is those spoof films of other movies. Like a big movie comes out and then they put out the spoof version. They were always terrible. The one thing about the Naked Gun films is they actually, while they were more of a spoof of a genre, but within the reality of the movie, they are trying to tell a story, like a decent story that could work if you weren't making it a Naked Gun movie and you made it a cop thriller.
None of the people in the movie know they're in a comedy.
Right, that's
Yeah.
right. The people
Right,
in the movie
yeah.
don't know they're in a comedy, and that was why I think the Zucker brothers coming out of Airplane and Top Secret and doing the Naked Gun movies. That's why it works so much. And dude, I know that if they make this movie correctly with Lonely Island involved and Liam Neeson doing it, I think there are laughs aplenty to that is going to be an embarrassment of laughter riches for us because it's going to be funny.
All right. Now, the big question that everybody's going to have, over under 50% that we get an O.J. Simpson cameo. Huh? Anybody? Anybody want to
Probably
take
under. I'm going with under.
Under,
that?
yeah.
Going to take the under on that? Taking a very safe under on that one?
You know, John, those movies had body humor. They brought the filthy.
Oh,
when
yes, they
needed to bring the
absolutely
filthy.
did,
And I
yes.
just wonder in this day and age, how is that kind of comedy going to play? Are they going to go there?
I think they do. I
think
really
they have
think
to.
they do. And again, having Schaefer directing it, I don't think he's going to really mind going there. So,
Does Priscilla Presley come back?
oh, I would love to see a cameo for Priscilla. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? With Liam Neeson, the Lonely Island guy directing, I think this sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. I'm very, very excited for this. What do you guys think about it? Maybe you don't think this style of movie can work anymore. There's an argument to be made for that. Maybe you can think of 5 other names you'd rather see take over the role of Drebin. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to another main topic here today, and that one is this. I could be wrong. I might be wrong, Ray. You're going to have to let me know. But I don't know that there is an MCU project on the horizon that has Ray Aura more excited than Nova.
Yep.
I think that might is that fair to say, Ray?
Yeah, I'm excited for Nova. Well, what's wrong with that?
No, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But we heard a little while ago that they're going to be doing a Nova project. Now there are rumors, and I want to stress rumors. All right, rumors. There are rumors circulating around today, but I thought it'd be interesting to at least bring it up and address it because it touches on something else we've been talking about. The rumor going around today that you need to take with a giant grain of salt is that the Nova project for the MCU is actually going to be a Werewolf by Night style one-shot special presentation on Disney Plus. Now, you guys will remember that if you watch Werewolf by Night, it was a 50-something minute, and they labeled it as a special presentation. It's not a Disney Plus movie. It's not a limited series. It is a one-shot special presentation. And listen, there was something about that with Werewolf by Night that I thought worked incredibly well. Like I thought it just fit it perfectly. And it's still funny to me. There were a lot of people who still thought that was episode 1 of a series. So a lot of people started writing to me, where's the next episode? It's like, no, there's no new episode. That was it. It was a one shot. What really is fascinating about this is if you did it with something like, say, with Nova, I think this opens up a lot of doors because I can just imagine around the halls of Marvel that a lot of people have a lot of cool ideas for a quick adventure or a quick story or one thing. It's like, well, it's not enough to make a series out of it. It's not a grand enough idea that we can make a feature film out of it. But you know what we got? We got these special presentation things that we do on Disney Plus. And that, what do we got over here? Oh, look at that. Look what Ray's sporting there.
It's not Nova though.
No,
He's saying he wants the
thinks
Sentry
that's a
one.
way that we can get Sentry in there. So to me, while I have no idea about the level of validity to these rumors about they're going to do this with Nova, we do know that it's something that Marvel wants to experiment with more, this format. And why not something like Nova? But Ray, let me ask you this. I don't know anybody who's more excited about Nova coming to the MCU than you. Would you feel okay about them doing this, or would you feel disappointed that it's not a feature like how would you feel about that?
Well, you know what? I just watched Werewolf by Night. I mean, me and Jonathan were in here while I was segmenting. I was watching it. That's a cool movie. It was pretty good. I thought I liked it. If it's a special presentation like that, does that mean it's automatically not a part of the MCU? It all depends. And also, the Nova I'm excited about is the Sam Alexander version, the young version.
Yeah.
Richard Rider, he's okay too, but I really like the Sam version of Nova just because of just how cocky and he is. But yeah, if it connects to the MCU, I'm fine with the special presentations. It all depends. I mean, I was asking Jonathan, I was like, does with Werewolf by Night, if it connected to the MCU, and I think you told me, right? Like you think some of the elements there are
well,
there.
I mean, like in the introduction of Werewolf by Night, they reference the MCU.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like, yeah, everybody, okay, so this is in that world, but then they never address it at all.
So what I'm trying to get at is what makes this different from other than where it's being released at than a regular MCU movie.
I think that's what they're still defining right now, actually. So, Rob, you hear about this. Let's be specific. What do you think about the idea of Nova, if this could be true, being the limited series? And then what do you think about this, the whole idea of Disney Plus even experimenting with this format?
Well, I like this format. Like we talked about how they had the Disney one-shots on the physical media releases, which I used to like the Trevor Slattery one when he's in jail and the Agent Carter one. And so they were really cool. I really like those. This is sort of, to me, an extension of that, but they're a full length, like an episode, 50 minutes something. And why not? And we've already seen the Nova Corps and Guardians of the Galaxy, Xandar and all that stuff. So why not? It's a great extension because I don't know if the idea of a Nova, of Nova himself or whichever you go with Richard Rider, whichever character you go with, would it support a whole feature film? Would they make a Nova feature film or not? But this is a way that they can incorporate these ideas into the MCU through an interesting. I don't know why they don't do a lot more of these, frankly, because I think it's a great idea to touch on these. And then if they become fan favorites or people like the portrayal of the character, you bring them into a movie.
Chris, you see here this idea of do you think this is a good way to launch a Nova into it? What do you think the future of this entire format could be? What are your thoughts?
I do think it's a great way to just kind of test the waters of the character, especially because we have gotten so intergalactic now within Marvel. So I think it makes sense to really explore like a specific Nova Corps character. And whether it's Sam or whether it's Richard, I think that's open to whatever Marvel decides is best ultimately. You honestly could do one and then the other, truly, to see how the character tests and everything. I do wonder, though, if these specials will also be focused in playing with genre. The original Nova came out in 1976. So are we getting like a 70s sensibility of sci-fi with this? Because I think that's one of the things that really makes Werewolf by Night work is that we have this very homage to like 20s to 40s cinema, including the like cigarette burns to move the reel and everything. And I think that's one of the things that makes it work so well. So I'm wondering if this is going to remain a play, like a sandbox basically to play in of, hey, take whatever you want from the Marvel universe and see what you can stylistically go wild with.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The idea that they could do Nova maybe as a special presentation format like the way they did Werewolf by Night. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe you think, nah, man, this has got to be a feature film or should be a full-blown series. Whatever you guys think, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. The thing is, if you're Nova and you're going to be sailing around the sky and out in space, you need to be aerodynamic. You need clean-shaven balls. And that's where our friends at Manscaped come in to help.
He's got a point.
We want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Now, guys, you know I love Manscaped. You've heard me go on and on about the Lawnmower 4.0 and that body wash. I love it so much. And so we got to ask, guys, have you started your spring cleaning yet? The carpets need cleaning, the drapes need dusting, and your lawn needs mowing, gentlemen. And you guys know Manscaped is more than just one product. They have a whole lineup of products to help you guys feeling, smelling, and looking your best. And so Manscaped is proud to present to you the Performance Package 4.0, which is the only tool that you need to keep your boys looking, smelling, and feeling good this spring. Now, to start off with, you get the Lawnmower 4.0. Guys, we have talked about this. What is wrong with us? Why have we for so long been using these terrible tools that were never meant for cutting our hair down there? The razor clipper things on our electric razors. That's barbaric, guys. You need the Lawnmower 4.0. And then there's the Weed Whacker. You guys have heard our own Ray Ora talk about this thing. He loves using it to get that hair in your nose and the ear hair. And then they offer lots of other stuff like the Crop Preserver. It's an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. The Crop Reviver. It's a spray-on toner for your balls. And of course, they've got the perfect grooming tool for your face with the Plow 2.0, the perfect razor for the finest shave on that face. So guys, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Campea. That's CAMPEA at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the promo code Campea at manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life.
And thank you to our friends, nay, the heroes at Manscaped, for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show and for tending to my outstanding hygiene. So thank you so much for that, guys. All right. With that down, let's get into one more off the top here, shall we? And that is this. You know, shortly after D23 came a report, a rumor, really, but a report that the MCU was looking at Harrison Ford, that they wanted Harrison Ford to come in and be the new Thunderbolt Ross. Of course, we tragically lost the actor who had been playing Thunderbolt Ross, which was a huge loss, but they wanted Harrison Ford. And we remember saying at the time, it's like, well, this may or may not happen, but we liked the choice very much. If they did it, this is great. I mean, Harrison Ford like carries that whole get the hell off my lawn kind of vibe, which you kind of want in a Thunderbolt Ross, right?
Yeah.
And so we thought about it, we talked about it, and then we put it aside, saying, we'll see if it comes to pass. Well, according now to multiple sources, it's being confirmed by a number of sources. I should use the word confirmed loosely because we haven't heard it officially from the studio yet, but several significant people with reliable sources that I know are now saying it's actually a done deal. Harrison Ford is the new Thunderbolt Ross. General, his first name is Thaddeus, yes?
Yeah.
Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross
yeah.
in the MCU. And now we can move from the theoretical to the practical. This is outstanding. Listen, the MCU now is like obviously the biggest powerhouse in the world of film and all that kind of stuff. We've no longer talk about, wow, Marvel got, like when they got Butch Cassidy, when they got Sundance, Robert Redford. When they got Robert Redford to be in Winter Soldier, we were like, oh my God, Marvel got Robert Redford? When they got, when they were doing Thor, right? And they went out and got Hannibal Lecter to be, Sir. They got him to be Odin. It's like, oh my God. When they got, when they were going out and they wanted a villain for Iron Man 3, and they went out and got an Academy Award winning another Sir, Ben Kingsley, to come in. It's like, they got Ben Kingsley? So, but it's been a while since we've done that because, of course, everybody wants to be in the MCU. But I'll tell you what, I get that same feeling again when they got Harrison Ford. Like, to get Harrison Ford, who I don't even think wants to work that much anymore. And he's like, yeah, I'll be Thunderbolt Ross. Listen, that takes the way we can even look at this. Like, I didn't care about this Thunderbolts movie. I didn't care about it till they made the casting announcements. When we found out that David Harbour was going to be in there and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, all right, I'm now interested in this movie. You tell me, actually now make it official that Harrison Ford is going to be Thunderbolt Ross. in this. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's so good.
That's a great image.
Wow.
I don't know who made that, but that is a great image. Is going to be Thunderbolt Ross. I'm like, that takes my anticipation level for this to another level entirely because, let's face it, Harrison Ford's been in some bad things too. But Harrison Ford is not a starving actor who's just out there hoping to find a role. You know, you have to convince Harrison Ford to be in something. And that tells me that when they sat down and pitched him, he said, all right. I think my grandchildren will understand this. I mean, so he goes out and does it. It takes my excitement level to the next level. Now, look, we should point out here that despite the thumbnail of this video, and let's bring that image up again, and this particular image, which is fantastic, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have not heard from anybody. I love the way Ray put the cigar in Harrison's
Yeah, I'm Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah, the Thunderbolts.
mouth. We should point out here, there has been no official word from anybody that despite the fact in the comics that Thunderbolt Ross does become a Red Hulk, there's what?
Is he wearing a San Diego Comic-Con pass on his chest?
Yes, he is.
CCC.
Which is just perfect.
Well
Ray
done,
making the
Ray.
thumbnails.
Nicely
Is
done,
that a San
dude.
Diego comic?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
DCC.
CCC.
Well, how come that was in the actual Thunderbolt
Then maybe
Ross
it just
pic?
looks like it. I don't know.
It just looks like it.
Yeah,
I
maybe
think
it's
it says
just, well, it is. Oh, it must be.
Oh,
It might be SOCC.
I choose
Anyway,
to believe it says SD.
a San Diego Comic-Con pass. But we should point out that there is no confirmation anywhere or any report that, despite of what happens in the comic books, that Thunderbolt Ross will be Red Hulk in Thunderbolts. So that, I mean, look though, it does. If he was, well, now suddenly you got a foil. What happens if Thunderbolt Ross, Secretary of State, goes completely out of the change room? He becomes rogue, whatever. Like that is something that you need a team of superheroes, maybe even a team of super soldier.
Rogue is in the X-Men, John. Oh my God. So embarrassing.
I shouldn't have used that one. But I mean, he could possibly then be the foil of it. Maybe the guy who's behind assembling the Thunderbolts, but then the Thunderbolts find out and realize he's the guy they got to stop. I'm just making stuff up here off the spur of that. But Rob, let me ask you this. Number one, your thoughts on Harrison Ford playing Thunderbolt Ross, and then into the realm of speculation. What do you think the chances are that they actually do Red Hulk now that we know it's going to be Harrison Ford?
Well, God bless Harrison Ford, who's now in his 80s, for continuing his military career. So I God bless him. You know, far be it for him to retire. But you know what? He can pull it off. He can pull it off. And I think it's cool. Why not? I mean, it's not like Thunderbolt Ross is a pivotal character. I like when he shows up. He offers some wise pearls, rolls out the Sokovia Accords, tell the Avengers what's wrong with them. I like that. I think if there's any, like you pointed out, get off my plane, get out of my government, stop meddling in our affairs, superheroes. He could be great for that. Will he be Red Hulk? Maybe, but I can't see him doing the emotion capture on the Red Hulk. You know, I just don't. Maybe he will.
Yeah, probably they don't put him in the
Yeah, I
ping
don't
pong
think
ball
so.
suit.
Exactly.
But the good transformation scene.
Chris, what do you think about? I mean, we've talked about it before when it was in theory, but now it looks like Harrison Ford is going to be in Thunderbolts. He's going to be Thunderbolt Ross. So, what do you think about him just being in this role? Period, and the chances that maybe we see him as Red Hulk?
I mean, if he absolutely is this role, I'm going to have to eat some crow. 'Cause someone last night tweeted us an image of him from like the 80s and was like, if this isn't Thaddeus Thunderbolt, I don't know who is. And I wrote, sure. Does the casting come with a time machine? Because like, yeah, I would have loved Harrison Ford in this role several decades ago, if I'm being completely honest. He's a tremendous actor, and I know he's going to bring so much gravitas and have that old man energy too of, you know, get out of here.
But is he that much older than William Hurt was? Like, how old was William Hurt when he passed away?
Wasn't he early 70s?
I think he was in his 70s.
Yeah.
So there's like 8-9 years difference. It's not that
Sure.
bad.
I mean, that's true. But also, I just want Harrison to get to rest, and it's his choice, obviously. I want him to have a nice break with Callista. I want them to go off on vacation together, enjoy Fiji. I'm really excited about the possibilities of Harrison Ford. Him meeting Doctor Strange. He's terrified of magic in real life. That would be amazing to witness.
Get out of my kitchen.
Get out of here.
Get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
Like,
By the
it'd
way,
be
again, if you
wonderful.
guys have not seen is it David Blaine?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you have not seen the David Blaine doing a magic trick in Harrison Ford's kitchen, It is one of the greatest videos on YouTube you could ever possibly watch.
It's so fun.
It's
but like,
so good.
Like Rob was saying though too. I mean, mocap, I think people really underestimate how much effort it takes. When you're doing motion capture, poor
There's a
horrified
picture of
eye.
it, yeah.
When you're doing motion capture, it is so physical. You are providing the skeletal system for an animator to work off of. And you have to be really on top of your A game. It's a little different for film than it is video games because that's a little more tight and everything. You're not doing as much like close-up shots and everything. But he's going to be having to move around a lot. And I don't know if that's that kind of
Does he have to?
physicality.
Yeah, what if it's
Does
just
Does
facial?
he need to be the one in the motion capture
If
suit?
it's just facial, you can do that. That's
Yeah.
fine. I'm just saying for a lot of these things, even if it's just you being on the stilts, like we've seen with Tatiana, like we've seen with
they ain't gonna
with
put him in
Mark,
stilts.
exactly, like we've seen with Thanos. There is a different build if you're in the scene, so he's going to be body doubled the entire time too.
Sure, but yeah, so you
You
do a
can do all of this.
You do a Darth Vader,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You put David Prowse in the suit. You have James Earl Jones do the voice.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it with Rocket. We've seen all these kinds of things. So
Bradley
it's-
Cooper, just so you know, does not actually do the motion
He
capture
does
of Rocket
not.
Raccoon.
He does not. It's Sean who's crushing it. But I mean, all of this can work. I think this would be great if he does take on the role. It just is a lot for him to Hulk out potentially.
So,
Although, wouldn't you like to see him go?
oh, yeah.
Harrison
It would.
Ford's
It'd be
voice.
brilliant.
Voice?
It'd be
Absolutely.
brilliant.
That every morning. Anyways, on side note, our little impression that we're doing, I was like, why does that seem so real to me? And I forgot the character he played in that movie 42 always with the cigar in his mouth. Hey, Jackie. That's why it sounded so familiar. I forgot he was in that movie. What a great movie. Anyone
He
who
was
hasn't seen
great
42.
in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
fantastic in that.
Yep.
Here's my one hesitation, and it's not about Ford. Okay, here's my one, and this is where I throw a bucket of water on everybody's hopes and dreams. But the one thing that does not sit perfectly well with me, with the idea of Red Hulk, we just talked that in the newest She-Hulk, I feel like Marvel is really cheapening the Hulk. They have.
Yeah, I know.
They've-
It's sad. It's actually really sad.
They have been cheapening the Hulk ever since Infinity War. And then they've now commodified the Hulk because not only is there Hulk, now there's She-Hulk. Now there's little baby Hulk. There's, Scar. There's Junior Hulk. And now there's going to be Red Hulk. And it's like, and so look, there are some really cool possibilities. I'm not denying that there aren't some really cool possibilities with Harrison Ford being a Red Hulk and all that kind of stuff. There absolutely are, 100%. But again, and then if you want to throw Abomination into that mix as well. But I mean, it just feels like they continue to cheapen and commodify Hulk. And it makes me worry that we are never actually going to get that true Savage Hulk again. And it's a little bit of a sad thing, but would I take that trade-off with Harrison Ford doing it? Maybe. There are a lot of upsides to it.
You don't think Hulk at this point, now that he has a baby, is going to have like mom with her toddler trapped under a van energy of just like, "Ah!"
I don't know. I started, before She-Hulk, I started to allow myself to hope. Like Hawkeye, don't do it.
the hope that
don't
kills
make
ya.
me hope. I started to have hope that, I'm starting to believe that maybe Marvel's going to go back to that true nuclear option Hulk that I love so much in the MCU. But now hey, everybody, show up to family barbecues. Oh, why don't you do somebody? Here's little Hulk Jr. I'm like, oh man, we're never getting the real Hulk back, are we?
No, he's a family man now.
Now he's a family man. But
Yeah.
whatever, still, it's not going to ruin my take on this, that Harrison Ford doing this is great news, and maybe Red Hulk in it could actually be really advantageous to the Thunderbolts. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Do you like the idea of Harrison Ford being Thunderbolt Ross? Do you think that could mean that we're going to get a Red Hulk out of it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we're going to do a shortened version of taking your live comments and questions. So we're going to open up the super chats right now. If you have a thought, theory, question, or opinion that you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire that in. You might want to be quicker than normal. We're only going to leave it open for probably less than a minute. But go ahead and fire those in now. Now, before we get to those, we're going to take a second and thank the final sponsor of today's show, my cell phone service provider, the good folks over at Mint Mobile.
Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. And now for the plot twist. I'm just kidding. There isn't one. Mint Mobile just has premium wireless from $15 a month. There's no trapping you into a 2-year contract or opening the bill to find all these crazy fees. There's no luring you in with free subscriptions to streaming services that you'll forget to cancel and be charged full price for. With my old wireless provider, every month when I opened the bill, it was like playing roulette. I never knew how big the bill was going to be, and it always seemed to get bigger. With Mint Mobile, it's totally different. I know exactly how little I'm paying every month, and there's never any surprises. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or a family. And at Mint Mobile, families start at just 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And guys, you get to use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. So transferring over couldn't be easier. So to get premium wireless from just $15 a month and no unexpected plot twists, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. You'll make your wallet very happy at mintmobile.com/Campea.
And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, we're now going to take a little bit of time here. Even though we're going to try to wrap up the show a bit earlier today, we're still going to take some of your live questions. So, Chris, what do we got in the live chat?
Yeah, I get to read. Okay. Official Friend Zone says, idea for Thunderbolts. The team is assembled to locate the Abomination, and out of anger, Ross injects himself with a serum, and Abomination and Red Hulk fight, and Abomination joins the team.
Could be. I mean, listen, I have actually campaigned for a long time that I wanted Abomination brought back into the MCU. They always said he was still out there. Like, even in some of those little shorts that they did, they referenced Blonsky. I think they had who was the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. main guy?
Coulson?
Nick Fury.
Coulson.
Oh.
They even had Coulson in one of those things reference that they still had Blonsky on the raft and all that kind of stuff. And I always thought they needed to bring him back. Listen, I was disappointed in the She-Hulk series, but you know what? I did like Blonsky. I did like Abomination in it. And I love that they used their final kind of little end credit to bring him back out, and he's with Wong again. So I like all that. So I don't know, that's a possibility. What do you think?
Look, I like that. I mean, we first of all, whatever's coming down the pike in the multiverse saga, whether it's Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty or the Time Variance Authority, we need Blonsky. Abomination, we need him.
Yeah, I like him. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, if Netflix did cancel Sandman, it would obviously be shopped around. Could it move to Prime because of Gaiman's past relationship with them with Good Omens?
Listen, I think if Netflix decides that, hey, you know, we're not actually making money on Sandman and it's a really expensive endeavor and we are not going to do a season 2. I still think they will do a season 2. But if they don't, make no mistake about it. It's going to be like when Disney fired James Gunn. Every studio in the world lined up at his door with offers. If Sandman does not get picked up for season 2 at Netflix, they are going to have no problem finding another home for it, Rob. I can't see it being a problem for them at all.
No, 100%. HBO is already developing a Sandman spinoff series in Dead Boy Detectives. So that's
Right.
already being made.
Yeah.
So HBO would be a logical. I think an Apple Plus would actually be a pretty
Yep,
cool home
that's where I
for it
think
as
it
well.
should go.
But hell, I'll take it on Peacock. I mean, I don't care. I mean, they'll find a home though. There will be a season 2, whether it's on
Yeah.
Netflix or not.
And Neil already has been like, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been very, very fun watching that on Twitter.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
From Stephen J. The Nova special could be the scene cut from Infinity War of Thanos destroying Xandar for the Power Stone, leading to Nova's origin. Thoughts?
You could. I mean, I always thought it was interesting that this world, these people, this force that was set up so meticulously in Guardians of the Galaxy was literally wiped out with a line of dialogue in the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I'm always one for, hey, if it doesn't need to be shown for the purpose of your story, then don't show it. But they went through a lot to set this world up and all of its stuff and just say, oh yeah, I sacked them. They're gone. It's like, what? Wait, what? So maybe that is something they could go back to, Robert.
And yeah, I think absolutely. I love seeing those flashbacks where somebody goes back and fills in something as to what happened. I mean, you know, in a way, seeing in WandaVision, seeing Monica Rambeau being unsnapped for the first time, I was like, Oh, I mean, I
Yeah.
love that moment because it's something we literally had not seen.
Yeah.
You know, and it was certainly wasn't in Endgame, and to see how that looked, and then they repeated it in Black Widow, and I love that too. So going back and seeing what happens to the Nova Corps and all that, and the battle of that planet could be really fun.
Or it could be Clone Wars.
Or it could be.
Or it could be Clone Wars.
Although,
All
come on,
right.
man, don't diss on the Battle of Geonosis.
What's next?
From Al Renshaw, let's not forget Camp Blanchett in Ragnarok. Did we think they could get her before?
No. And that's actually a good one. I still remember like how absolutely my jaw dropped when I heard that they got Kate Blanchett to go in there and play that role. That was fantastic. So that's actually a great call out.
And
Al.
Michael
That's-
Douglas.
What's that?
I was surprised about Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas.
Yeah, I think.
Movies.
Oh, yeah, of course, for Ant-Man. Yeah, actually, that was one of my favorite interviews ever. I got to go and spend like 45 minutes with Michael Douglas, just talking about Ant-Man with him and Paul Rudd. It's probably my favorite. I've got a lot of really, really good photos of the different people I've had to talk to, but honestly, one of my absolute favorites was one from the afternoon I spent with Michael Douglas. And
Didn't they
Paul
run
Rudd.
that on a theater too, like a big screen? That interview.
Oh, you know what they did?
Yeah, I remember like Dennis. It was like the crew. They were we had to fix the audio or something before we could get it ready
because
for
they
the
took
theater.
segments of that and actually played it in front of one of the Marvel movies and
Yeah.
stuff like that in the AMC theaters. I forgot about that.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
From Seconds for Disaster, my Halloween showing was for 9 p.m., didn't start till 9:29. If AMC is going to show these trailers, why not show teasers instead of full trailers?
Because the full trailers are the ones that are most likely to hook people into coming. Again, you know, I went to a movie theater recently where it was like 10, 12 minutes of trailers. I was like, that's so nice. I'll come out and say it. Fuck AMC for this. I mean, look, and I say that. I say that as that is still my movie theater of choice. I still go to AMC theaters. I still do. But fuck you guys for this bullshit of you say the movie's at 7:00 and you start it at like 7:30. Fuck you.
AMC's got 8.
I mean, they don't get much. It's infuriating. And just the fact that I got to go to a theater recently where it's like, oh, wait a minute. You mean the movie is actually starting like within about 12 minutes of when it said it was going to start? Wow. This is how good life can be? Anyway, so yeah, fuck those guys.
I mean,
All right.
to be fair though, they had to wait for the embargo to drop, so they needed to kill time. In the
That's
theater.
right. That's the way for the Halloween embargo to drop.
They're like, run more ads.
One more ad. All right. What's next?
From Luis Enrique de la Peña, is there a dramatic actor you'd like to see in a comedic role for the first time? I'd like to see Daniel Day-Lewis, Joaquin Phoenix, or Judi Dench. She's done a comedic role.
Yeah, Judi Dench has done a couple,
Ton of 'em.
as a matter of fact. Daniel Day-Lewis, I would love to see in a comedic role. He is, to me, I believe that he is the greatest actor of all time. I honestly don't even think it's close. Like, I think he's the greatest actor of all time. It's like him here, and then down here somewhere is a glut of about 7 or 8 other actors that could be in the conversation. But anyway, we never actually saw him do comedy. And I would love, because comedy is not easy. There are certain great comedic performers that make it look easy. It ain't easy. So that's what for me. Do you guys have a particular like dramatic actor that we haven't really seen do comedy before that you'd like to see? That's a tough one, right?
That is tough because you think about all the actors and you'd have to rifle through their
Yeah.
filmographies. That's a hard one.
All right, well, we'll come back to it another time. All right, what's next?
From Andy, I'll never forget when Edge returned in Royal Rumble 2020.
Yep.
I didn't see this coming, but I've always longed for his return, so his homecoming was phenomenal. His theme song purely existed for that moment. That's when I started watching wrestling.
I
was amazing.
Still remember, I didn't know he was coming back, and we were watching that pay-per-view, and Edge came out, and it's the first time watching wrestling for me in a long time that I went, oh my God, Edge is back. Like freaking out, that because remember, he was supposed to be done. He was out of wrestling for like a decade because he had literally broken his neck. And I was still watching wrestling at the time when he had retired. And I still remember it was moving. He was a champion at the time. And they started off Raw with him in the ring, in civilian clothes and a microphone, and he announced to the world that the doctors told him he can't do it anymore, that the broken neck and all that kind of stuff, and he retired, and it was so heartbroken. And then when he came back, I hadn't felt that excited about anything in wrestling for a long time, and and then I felt it again when him and Christian were in the ring together again, later. Oh, so good, so good. All right, what's next?
From My Comic Planet, Marty is at it again. Scorsese says box office obsession is repulsive and insulting. Cinema is devalued, demeaned from all sides. Since the 80s, there's been a focus on numbers. It's repulsive.
Yeah, listen, I love Marty Scorsese. Don't get me wrong. I hate flying, and I'm not a fan of New York. I got on a plane to fly to New York just so I could do an interview with Marty Scorsese. I love Marty Scorsese. I do. This was one of the dumber things he said. Because while he puts in this one little caveat, I read the whole diatribe he did. And in there, he did give this one little disclaimer. It's like, I understand people who pay for it want to make their money back. Dude, you get to make these movies because somebody pays for them. And people put up money to pay for them because they hope to make money. That is part of the business. It's always been part of the business. It's not like some recent thing. I know a lot of people think that there should just be these nameless billionaires out there who just come along like the Easter Bunny and throwing around chocolate money that filmmakers just take and make their art and make their art. It's part of the business. It's part of the industry. Oh, it's disgusting that people care about, who says that? People who make movies that flop say that. And it's easy for you, Marty, to say that when you've made a whole bunch of films that have made a whole ton of money.
I was going to say, it's easy when you have money.
Why do you think Apple was willing to give you $200 million to make Killers of the Flower Moon? It wasn't as some sort of philanthropy that they wanted to say, we just think this would be a good... No, it was because you have a history that you've made some movies that have made some big money, gotten a lot of prestige, blah, blah. So it's easy for you to say that. But it is a part of the business. Listen, I have this discussion with people all the time. A lot of people ask me, say, John, why do you care about box office so much? I said, because of what the box office tells us. Box office numbers tell us what interested people, what movies and kinds of movies and trends actually motivated people to go and see it, to be willing to actually put down money to go and watch it. Box office numbers tells us things that the audience aren't interested in anymore. So when you say focus on box office is insulting, what you're really saying is what people want is insulting. What the audience does and cares about, we as artists should not care about that. Again, it shouldn't be the only focus. Obviously, 100% agree with that. It should not be the only focus. But to pretend or to value what box office and what it represents, because box office is not some celestial term. It's actually what you choose to do with your viewing habits. That's what box office is. Box office is what you and I decide on Friday night that we want to see, what we don't want to see, what we want to go see again, what is keeping me away from the theater, what is drawing me in. That's what box office is. And to say that, putting any importance on that is insulting is in and of itself insulting. I say this as a massive, massive Scorsese fan. Huge. I love you. I love you. That's a stupid ass thing to say. It's a stupid ass thing to say. Anyway, all right, what's next?
From Jasmine Jones, October 14th, 2005, Twitches came out 17 years ago. The sequel, Twitches 2, came out on October 12th, 2007, which was 15 years ago, which is the same day Wizards of Waverly Place with Selena Gomez premiered. Twitches was a made-for-TV Disney Channel original comedy with Tia Tamera Mowry.
Oh, I thought it had something to do with the gaming streaming site.
Nah, I figured you guys were going to go that way.
I'm like, nope, I have no idea.
I gotcha. I got this useless information in my brain.
Wow.
Chris Carr is here, ladies and gentlemen. What were you saying about her earlier, knowing about wrestling? You're always amazed by
I'm
the
always
things she
amazed,
knows?
yes. That's why she's here.
Filling in
Glad to
all
sit
those
next to her.
gaps.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chris. All right, what's
Become an
next?
Old man.
JCSC. You're doing fine, buddy. You're doing fine. Was going through some boxes and found a Blair Witch Project poster. Wowza. Made me think of John Schnapp's magnificent prank he pulled with that movie.
I don't know which thing we're
What did
talking
you
about
do?
specifically.
Yeah, I don't either.
I know this though. Like, I mean, we've talked about this before. Anyway, we've talked about this before. That movie, it's all the popular thing now to trash on Blair Witch Project. I mean, and a lot of people do. You got to understand, when that movie was made, it was revolutionary.
Oh yeah.
They I can't even remember the budget they made it for, but it was cheap. They shot it on a bunch of Sony VX1000 mini DV cameras, which was huge to me at the time because I was using a Sony VX1000 mini DV camera. Remember mini DV?
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
That was considered a revolution when mini DV came out. I mean, it was great. And they shot this thing on that, and it was legitimately creepy. Horror movies don't often make me feel creeped out. I can enjoy a good horror movie, but that movie creeped me out the first
It
time.
began a genre.
A genre that I think got overdone and overused, and then people just saw Blair Witch as just another one of those genre films. But no, it was revolutionary at the time.
Yeah, and it worked.
And it worked. Now, Blair Witch 2. Yeah, not so much. Not so much. But still, that first one was pretty great. All right, what's next?
From Hero75, I could see Marvel dropping shorts on Disney Plus without any ads. Shorts like the ones before Thor 2 with Coulson, but nothing bigger than that.
I agree, but even then, like when you talk about the Pixar shorts, they often will
dropping
advertise,
shorts?
Come and see the new Pixar movie with the added bonus of this, right? Because they know people like that stuff. But I agree with you. I think you're right. I could theoretically see them doing that, but not for something they spend $25 million on or more. I just can't see it. All right, what's next?
From Andy again, with what you said on Open Mic yesterday, John, I'm glad you didn't stand on your desk on the John Campea show today and waved your wang at the camera to create drama. What? What happened?
Wow, John.
I can't
Wow, what
remember.
happened there?
I can't remember the exact context of. I cannot remember the exact context
It got pretty graphic.
of what we were of what the specific topic was. I can't remember, but at some point the topic moved me to say, I could get on top of my desk and pull up my huge Italian dick and wave it around like a lasso or whatever. I can't remember why I said that.
It was a
but
Manscaped ad.
and it wasn't even a Manscaped ad. I can't remember why I said it, but I'm sure in context it made really good sense.
I take Thursdays off, and this is how you behave.
Rob,
Rob,
not to watch.
where were
Hey,
you?
this was a
Where were you?
I was at home. I did it at home, but still, I can't remember what the context
even
was.
worse.
If you're going to take it out, it should be at home.
But I'm sure in context, if we all heard the context, we'd all be going, that's a very artistic
Did you
analogy.
actually say wang or Italian sausage?
Probably
the minutia
said,
of this really makes it
probably
different.
said Mighty Hammer. I don't know.
Okay.
One other thing. Anyway, all right. What's next?
Hurry, just
Jay.
read the next one.
Do you think a new Final Destination movie can work in today's time with our advancements in technology, smartphones, self-driving cars, etc.?
Listen, I think advancement technology, ergo reliance on technology, actually opens up a lot more doors.
Oh,
us.
yeah.
And I'm not the world's biggest Final Destination fan, although I did really like the last one they did. I think it just gives you more opportunities for fun stuff.
I totally agree. I mean, my favorite opening was that car opening with the logging truck or whatever.
Oh, God,
that was amazing.
no one drives
That-
behind those trucks.
No,
anymore.
it haunts
Yep.
me to this day.
Yeah, but there's something about that franchise. Of all the horror franchises, that one works. Like, I'll sit down. I'm there for those Final Destination movies because I like the idea that death or fate or whatever is this force that you can't cheat.
Death is around every corner, and
Yeah,
you should never
finds
be
a
happy
way.
or safe.
Some
Figures it out.
creative
It
way.
readjusts the balance of the universe. And they're clever.
Yeah.
There's something there that has an intellectual component I appreciate. They are making another one.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so
I think it's a straight to streaming one, but they are making another one.
I'm there for it.
All right. What's next?
From Raymond Verrata, Silk Sonic declining Grammy consideration? In a crowded field, Adele and Beyonce, they could have won it all again. And Bruno Mars faced criticism for winning it all in 2018, denying Jay-Z and Kendrick Lamar.
Now, Silk and Sonic, that is Bruno Mars's duo band, right?
And it's that album, that Silk Sonic. I've only got one. I don't know if there's more than one. I have one Silk Sonic record. It's great.
Yeah, I saw the headline the other day. I don't follow this closely at all, but I did see the headline that Bruno Mars had removed something from Grammy consideration. So I have no idea what the information behind that is. I also don't care what it is. But, you know, when some big superstar does something like that, it's like Tom Cruise sending his Golden Globes back in a box. All right, what's next?
From Matt Sanders sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Matt.
Viserys asked how he will be remembered. And now that he's gone, how do you remember him as a character? And how will the realm remember him as the king?
How do I remember as a character? We talked about this on our open mic yesterday, in which, you know, the Mighty Hammer thing happened, which I still don't remember the context, but
apparently you were talking about Olivia Wilde, according to the chat.
Maybe.
Whipping Wang?
You know what? It was.
Yeah.
And you know what? I doubled down on that now.
No.
That was a great analogy for the context of the topic we were talking about. What?
I just am scared about what the context was and what you're going to say.
Okay, just quickly, the context was somebody wrote a question that apparently Olivia Wilde made some statements about how, you know, we didn't sign up for this. You know, we did make a movie, but she was complaining that everybody's talking about all the drama. I said, you can't complain about that when you're the one who created the drama. And that's why I said, because if I got up on the John Campea show, pulled out the hammer and waved it around, I then do not have the right to go, why aren't you guys talking about the content of our show? Why are you all talking about the hammer unleashing? We didn't come here to talk about the hammer unleashing.
Why did Manscaped buy more ads?
Yeah, buy more ads.
Because you did some good work, apparently.
And so, yes, that was a great analogy on my part. Anyway, getting back to the question. What was the question? What are we talking about?
We are
Viserys?
talking about Viserys.
Oh, Viserys. I said from day one that I thought he was the best character on the show. Despite whatever Ray Aura may tell you, Viserys has been the greatest character on the show. Again, the trash sharers. You could have renamed this show to Life Shits on Viserys. Every week. It was how life will shit on Viserys this week, but he always handled it with bravery, with grace, and still just went forward. Still trying to do what's best for his kingdom, still trying to do what's best for his family, making some mistakes, sure. But yes, Viserys is great. All right, what's next?
From CJ Rebirth, saw the recent Back to the Future panel. So happy Michael J. Fox is still here while fighting Parkinson's.
Again, like I said before, if you had told us when they first announced that he had Parkinson's, he got diagnosed, that we would be this many years later and he's still functioning at the levels he functioned, we would have said, no way, can't possibly. And yet here we are. And that, I mean, who didn't get, you know, teary-eyed when we saw that moment of those two on stage together and then hugging and like, come on, who didn't get a little weepy? That was beautiful. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, Rob, do we canonically know how Kirk and Spock met?
No.
Okay.
We don't. No, we don't. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. William Shatner and the Reeve Stevens did write a really cool book, a novel called Collision Course, that they were going to continue on and write 2 more books as they had been doing. But because the J.J. Abrams Star Trek 09 film, that put the kibosh on that, because you see Kirk and Spock meet in that movie, but it wasn't canonical because it's in an alternate universe.
Right. And then in Strange New Worlds,
that's also it's in the future. It's
right.
In a different future. So, I mean, I'm sure they're going to give us the canonical meeting in fact, in Strange New Worlds. They're going to do it. Will I choose to think it's canonical? Depends how good it is.
Yeah, winning cures everything.
Yeah, I mean, if it's good.
All right, what's next?
From Tim Platt sending in a $100 super chat.
Tim,
Wow.
Thank you, man, so much for supporting us on that level, dude. It's really appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Hey, guys, tomorrow's my birthday.
Happy birthday. Well, happy birthday to us. Thank you, Tim. That's
One step
amazing.
closer to 40. And I want to thank you. This past year has been the hardest of my life. I'm extremely grateful for all your hard work and dedication that would help put me in a good mood when I couldn't. I love you all and bring on the filthy.
Tim, thank you so much for that, man. And for those of you who don't know, Tim's been a viewer of our show for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Always contributing well.
And
I
always,
mean, in terms of ideas.
Yeah, the ideas
Yeah.
and the comments and the thoughts. And listen, the great thing about movies, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I just said it on open mic yesterday too. We had somebody write in who just lost their father. But the great thing about the movies and the movie fan community is it becomes that oasis. Some people like to use the word escape. I don't. I prefer the term oasis. It's somewhere we can go, we can dip our feet in, become refreshed, become a little bit renewed. And again, when we come out of movies and TV shows or our conversations about them, our problems and hardships are still there, but we're just in a little bit of a better position to deal with them mentally, and we're a little bit more refreshed and renewed. And listen, the fact that movies can be that for us is one of the reasons why I love the movies so much. And the whole idea that we can get together in a community of people talking about these things and have that happen as well and be that oasis as well is truly a blessing for all of us. So we are super grateful that you're here, Tim, being a part of that for other people. And we're super happy that it can be here for you when you're the one who needs it. So thank you so much for that. And thank you again for supporting our channel at that level, man. That's incredibly generous of you. And thank you for sharing your thoughts, man. It's a beautiful thought.
And happy birthday.
And happy birthday to you, man. You have a great year and a great year ahead of you. All right. What's next?
From Assistant Professor X.
I love that name.
Hey, John and crew. Ari, the Marvel reschedules. The main reason is the VFX pipeline. It's so bad. ILM is opening an office in Mumbai, and I am now tasked to build a VFX academy. Wish me luck. Oh, dang, dude.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, while we have seen that the VFX pipeline is causing some turmoil with a lot of different projects, the key aspect of the Marvel big reshuffle was the Blade move. Because it just, a week earlier, everybody had their dates. And then all of a sudden, Blade gets pulled and all the movements have to happen. So is it a contributor? It absolutely is. Is this wreaking havoc on a lot of projects? It absolutely is. I was actually talking to somebody at Netflix the other day. This is really impacting their production work right now as well. And a lot of their series are going to miss dates that they had scheduled. They didn't schedule, but not announced to the public so they can work around it. So it's a big thing. So yeah, this industry, that's why these people got to get paid fairly. All right. What's
and not
next?
overworked.
From My Comic Planet. Hey, Ray, Invincible video games are in development.
Oh, wow.
As graphic as the show is, can you imagine what they'll allow you to do in the video game? LOL.
Do you even watch Invincible?
I watched the first episode. I just haven't gone back. But I saw what it was about. It looks like something I was into, but I just forgot about it. But from pulling screenshots, it looks very bloody.
Oh, it is.
Oh, it is.
And I don't know how I feel about blood in video games. It's not really anything that makes it different for me as long as the game is fun. But yeah, if he likes the property, if you like the property, then I'm all for it. I mean, I want a good One Punch Man game. They released one. It didn't hit the good part. But
didn't hit the good part.
But I'm hoping that everyone, games, the movies
part, right?
and games and TV properties mesh all well together in the future. I mean, we're getting there where things are, going hand in hand. I hope the video game industry pushes movies and vice versa. All this entertainment stuff.
Invincible's a really good show. I enjoy it a lot.
Great.
Like it's not to me near the same level as say Arcane is or whatever, but it's a fun little show. If you have not checked out Invincible, you really should.
I haven't seen Arcane. Do you see an Arcane? Someone like an
Arcane's
Arcane
based
video?
on a game.
Oh, that's it.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Loosely. Very loosely.
Very loosely.
It's not called Arcane though. It's is it League of Legends?
Legends.
Yeah. It's League of Legends that it's based on. Although very, very, very loosely
Yeah,
based.
that's why it took me so long to go to Arcane, where I was like, really? Okay. This is going to be weird.
All right, what's next?
From Would you believe I bought that on 4K?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Satima walks into a bar. He asks the bartender for a drink, and he says that he wants a fruity drink. The bartender gives him one punch. Well done.
Ray.
Wow.
One
I
punch.
didn't even know that came up. That was coming up. So that was just random that someone brought up.
I
One
think
Punch?
so, yes.
Wow.
I got to tell you a quick story here as we wrap the show up.
No,
So
don't. John.
when I was doing when I was getting ready to do my documentary,
Here we go.
Movie Trailers, A Love Story,
Which is now streaming.
I am going to dig up this footage and I'll play it
No,
for you
you're not.
sometime. So
Oh, I know what you're leading to. Yeah.
yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So Jonathan Voico, me, and like we were doing our first kind of camera test. We had bought some new cameras. We were testing our new lights and audio set that we're going to be using to make our documentary. So we were in the pre-production stage of the movie. And I said, we need to do a test, but I need to be behind the camera. So I said, Ray, can you come sit in this director's chair? We're gonna have the camera on you. I'd like to do the test on you. He's like, yeah, but what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? Like, I don't know. What do you want? So I said, I don't know, man. Talk about One Punch Man. And all of a sudden, you could see it in the video. Ray lights up. Okay, So One Punch Man, and he starts into this huge, almost like Patton Oswalt on Parks and Rec explaining the crossover of Marvel and Star Wars.
The thing about One Punch Man.
He's One Punch Man is blah, blah, blah. He goes on to Ray really likes One Punch Man.
I want to see it.
Ray really likes One Punch Man.
Well,
This was before I started doing the actual was on camera with
Hey,
the
but
show.
that-
Yes.
Very.
that test footage gave us encouragement to be like, hey, this looks great. This documentary is going to look great.
Yeah.
Yep,
as long as
the
Ray's
video
on
looked
the
fantastic. All right, guys. That'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making the show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats, especially you, Tim. Happy birthday again,
Happy
my friend.
birthday.
Because number one, you gave us great fun things to talk about, but number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Guys, we hope you have a fabulous weekend. Don't forget, a little bit later this afternoon at 4 p.m. Los Angeles time, I'll be doing our Rings of Power open spoiler discussion after show. I hope you guys will come by and join me for that. I'll probably do a little Ask Me Anything or John Campea After Dark over the weekend. Keep your eye on the channel for that. So for everybody in the room, ladies and gentlemen, of course, Robert Meyer Burnett. We've got right beside him Chris Carr, sitting back there, One Punch Man himself, Ray Ora, and Jonathan Voico. We will be back again on Monday, guys. Make sure you click the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.
Just keep the hammer in the tool bag.